Welcome back, everybody, to the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here. And of course, I'm joined as always with both of my co hosts, Jimmy Marion and Darian Smith. And guys, UAB covered the spread at Tennessee, and we'll get into that eventually this episode. We're not going to preview the Army game because this is a bye week, but we can talk about the team as a whole, where it stands going into the bye week. But this episode of the Blazer Victory podcast is brought to you by Cahaba Brewing Company. Shout out to again Cahaba for sponsoring this game recap episode. So if you haven't been, go down to the tap room today and go to cahababrewing.com. They have tons of events always at the tap room. So let them know that you heard about them from on the Blazer Victory podcast. That helps us out and of course helps them out. But shout out again to Cahaba Brewing. And we haven't mentioned this the last couple episodes, guys, but YouTube Blazer Pod. We need more subscribers. Trying to get to that 500 threshold. Very important number. So you click the link in the audio. Just if you do audio only, I get it. Click that link, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps us out tremendously. Without all that out of the way, UAB did play a football game, lose at Tennessee 56-24, but we can take away some bright spots, some bright points in this game, some low points, but we'll get to that eventually. But Darian, let's start us off. What is your initial reaction to UAB losing 56-24 in Knoxville and against a very good Tennessee team?
We covered the spread.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Hammer the Blazers, baby. We covering spreads. Initially, if you, camera was slipping, but if you're getting hammered, you're getting thrashed. So in the beginning, I remember Joey Aguilar. I remember looking at the stats, and we were down 21-0. I think at that time it said 6 for 6. He had over 100 yards passing, two touchdowns. A lot of the passes, the receivers were pretty open. They had a rushing touchdown, and I was just wondering, like, and I tweeted it out. I'm like, all right, it's one thing to we all expected. If you can go back and listen to some of the other Blazer pods, right? Listen to us basically talk about Tennessee like a bye week. Like, hey, it is what it is. But it's a certain way that you want to play those games that you at least want to show that you can compete to a certain level. And as a competitor, especially those first three touchdowns, and I think we weren't moving the ball at all on offense. We couldn't do anything. So just to recap, we can't stop the pass in these first couple of minutes. This is first quarter. You can't stop the pass. You can't stop the run. You can't pass. You can't run. Only thing you can do is punt the ball. I remember punting to being like, that's a BS punt. Just everything was just pissing you off, but it was just the way it's like, okay, we can't force an incompletion. I was asking
Bro,
for something like,
bro, it was so bad. The SEC network, which the game was televised on, they had technical difficulties uh, on the first offensive series for UAB, and by the time they came back, Tennessee already had the ball again. So we were three and out, and it was just rough sled.
it was very rough sledding. So it happened so quick
And of course,
that it's shocking as a fan. So it's kind of like, are we even a D2 team? Like, I don't, this is bad, right? Like,
bro, I was so sick of hearing Rocky Top, like, and I actually kind of like that song, but man.
And I was making sure I wasn't tripping, so I was going back to like the other teams, like some of the I can't remember, but I remember some other teams they were playing, like either SEC or Big Time Big Ten teams, and I'm just like, and they were winning, but it was kind of like a gradual pull off, like
Hmm.
Tulane against Ole Miss, and it was a couple of
Yeah.
other teams that were playing. It was kind of like gradually. I can't remember who Arkansas was playing at that time.
Memphis. Yeah.
Yeah, but Memphis won the game. But I didn't Memphis win by one, I think.
We ain't gonna talk about
Yeah, but
it.
it was like other games to where it was kind of, and it was a
Like
slow pull off.
BYU, East Carolina too. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good example.
So, but all that to say is that part was very discouraging. That's why I wanted to get it out the way because it was kind of like,
Hmm.
dude. Um, but the second half, I know it probably was more tools, and I think Tennessee's pace, like how fast they play,
Yeah.
um, you combine that with the talent and a really good scheme, and I think a better quarterback than they had last year. Right?
Oh yeah.
I remember another pod we had. I was like, hey, Tennessee ain't gonna have their quarterback, man. They might be vulnerable. I was like, oh, jokes on you. We have a better quarterback, right?
Improved.
It's,
Yeah.
so I think a way that we were able to hang with Georgia like 2 years ago, and then Arkansas, I think we played with extreme pace, and I think that we were able to win on the margins to the point where we were able to compete to a certain level. I think this year it was like Tennessee was like, "Oh, you want to play fast, dude? We like we play fast, we sub fast, man. We're gonna tire you out." And it was
Mhm.
like if that was gonna be your advantage or some kind of advantage that you had, you don't have that anymore. Now this is the you can't do that to the master. We're the students, right? And I think that really shocked our team, but hopefully we took away that level, just being able to experience that, not just see it on film, but being able to experience and play in it. Hopefully that second half was was an example visually for us as fans to say, hey, they actually took that, they downloaded that thrashing that they got as a lesson, and they said, okay, we're able to at least compete. Now I do know it was probably a lot of twos and threes in that second half, so it's lesser talent and all of that. But what I'm talking about is the actual game play.
Yeah.
How did we play? Were we playing fast? Were we competing? I like the fact that we didn't lay down. I tweeted in the first half about competing. I'm like, okay, we're competing. We're still going. We covered the spread because trust me, I started thinking like, are we gonna get beat like 80 something to
Whew.
7? You know,
There was a moment. There was a moment. I was like, oh shoot.
there was a moment, and but like I said, I think we're able to. If the guys want to take something going forward from that game positive, you can look, you were able to experience a team that really played with pace and they really played with structure and discipline, right? They really did that.
Hmm.
That's not a requirement for talent. That's not a requirement for talent. So hopefully our guys can take that and they can download that. And if the second half, and it's me putting some kind of spin on it, a positive spin, I know that. So, but if I'm looking at the second half, I think our guys at least did that and was able to compete, and hopefully they can take that lesson into the bye week and we can get more healthy.
And Jimmy, you mentioned it on your solo episode on the Patreon. So shout out patreon.com/blazerpod on your stats and trends. But what did the defense do that they haven't done in the first half all year, Jimmy
Create a
Marion?
turnover.
Man, hey, that ball hung in the air for a long
I
time.
joked on the Patreon there, and I said, without a doubt, I'm the most unathletic person in this podcast. I could have got that one though. That one just was in the air forever. Uh,
UAB to the playoffs, baby.
Let's
that's right.
go,
That's right.
baby. Let's go.
No, man. Yeah, you guys hit on a lot of the good stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, we covered. We're not trying to, you know, celebrate and accept moral victories, if you will. But I mean, at the end of the day, the way this game started out, it could have been a lot worse. You look at Tennessee, their drive chart. I mean, they did score a touch. I mean, their drive chart here: touchdown, touchdown, the pick that we just referenced, and then five straight more touchdowns. It wasn't until late in the game where UAB defense was able to. You mentioned it, Darren, with some of the backups for Tennessee, and when they started slowing the pace down a little bit to where UAB forced three straight punts. That was important, and it was at the same. UAB offensively struggled at the very beginning, but kind of found their rhythm. They had to get creative with some of their formations because of the difficulties at the line of scrimmage. But I want to say this for everybody is that for those of you that watched Georgia versus Tennessee, what happened at the beginning of that game? Like it was 21-7 before you blinked. It was 21-7 Tennessee at the end of the first quarter. And we're talking about 21-7 against Georgia, right?
That's a good. I didn't think about. That's a good perspective. I didn't think
Yeah,
about that.
like 21-7 Georgia. Now, what Georgia did was they pulled themselves together like in the second quarter. I think they outscored them 10-0 to kind of make that a game. And obviously, Georgia ended up winning the game. But the way in which Tennessee came out after that disappointing loss, they punched us in the mouth. I mean, and UAB was lucky to get, the forced turnover, and they were lucky later in the ball game to have the punt returner for Tennessee fumble the ball, and they were able to recover on that to gain some, possessions. But I mean, there's some other things to keep in mind here too. We may talk about this a little bit later, but UAB was without, a very special and impactful player at the wide receiver position, which I don't know how far leading into that game they were prepared for that decision, but that was definitely a change. And you had to go into an environment of 100,000 plus people, and you had a receiver starting that maybe had one grab over the course of the year, if even that. And you had other guys who needed to step up, and they did, like a BJ Hawkins or a Caleb Brown, who made a big play, his first big play score as a Blazer. So, going into that type of environment, a spread that was at one point, I think 40 plus, that closed, I think 37 and a half. A team that was, ticked off because they lost an overtime game the week prior to Georgia, a team they were up 21-7 on. I mean, there are some positives to take away. And even if UAB at the end of the game, the twos and threes for Georgia are still or would still be some of the best players in our conference, in my opinion. So it's like, for UAB to get some stops there at the end, I think was important. I think you can be happy ish. I don't know if that's the right word. Like you can be content, maybe is a better word overall in the game. I joked on the Patreon, like that was your classic, like you may not want to watch this. You may just want to, if you just look at the final score, 56-24, I don't think you walk away with the same level of emotion if you watch every single snap, because you saw it get to 42-7 and like then you're
If you
balancing.
watch the first quarter, I think
Yes.
your your perspective is very probably negative. Just seeing that in person, live, not in person, but just seeing that live.
Right. If you look at 56-24 isolated, and then you start looking at some of the playmakers and what Jalen Kitna did in this ball game, you look at the way the UAB offense, they would spread the ball around. UAB forced two turnovers, one on special teams and one on the defensive side of the ball. UAB forced, four straight Tennessee possessions at the end, where Tennessee did not score despite them having backups in. Like you can start to kind of framework some positives, and that's what this team needs at 2-2. We can look for negatives, and there are negatives. We can talk about that too, but I think the negatives are pretty obvious. I think the negatives are pretty much what the negatives have been through 28 game sample size with this coaching staff. But those negatives are things that are being addressed, and that with the bye week and throughout the rest of the 8 game season can turn around enough to where UAB can still reach its goals this year.
And I think, Jimmy, I just want to point this out real quick, just in case people forget. I think that Tennessee's left tackle may make more than our entire offense. What you think Joey Aguilar? You think he makes more? And I'm being so serious. He probably makes more than our entire offense, right? Put
Does he
together.
probably make more than the entire and any athlete total makes at UAB, basketball and football, like combined. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
it's substantial.
So with NIL and nowadays, I think the problem that gap, that disparity is way worse than it has ever been because you can just outright pay players, the most talented players. So of course that was the game he was gonna look at and say, hey, like Jimmy said, like we all were kind of saying, just kind of laugh. But even then, I still got to sit through, especially in the first quarter. It's a shock, but I'm glad Jimmy said about the Georgia game. It was like how I forgot how Tennessee came out and just blitzed them. It seems like they're a haymaker team. That's what they do, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not. You can't knock a Georgia down. They're gonna get back up on a 3-4 count and say, okay, we good. You throw a haymaker at us, we out for the count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And I think we were out for the count, especially with just the team that was, that's probably their NIL budget. The team is probably the whole Tennessee's whole team is probably, I mean, the disparity is probably sickening. I think the disparity is sickening with teams in our own conference. So yeah, we start there. Hopefully, I just wanted to point that out, and we can. I think the real comparison, the real criticism starts. We face the bye week first. We got to defeat the bye week, but then, but then, with Army, I think Army is a talented. We're on the same level, or we better? FAU. Those two teams we got coming up, we can listen. I have expectations against them. We got this out the way. Hey, that check cleared. Okay, cool. Show me my money. All right. Now, now the real evaluation starts. And if we go like 0-2 coming up, dude, y'all can fire away with all your mean tweets. You can, and especially depending on how we look in those games too. But yeah, let's just have some patience and see what they can do.
Yeah, yeah. I think Army's really good still. I wouldn't be surprised if they play tomorrow night, Thursday night at East Carolina. I won't be surprised at all for Army to win that game.
Mm.
Yeah. Now FAU, that's I think UAB should be FAU, but it's in Boca, so it's gonna be tough.
And we got
Um,
Army here,
yeah,
So I asked you this, done. So you said that game is maybe Thursday night.
Thursday night. Yeah.
So that's a game I feel like everybody should watch. We got to
Mhm.
buy. We need to watch that game so you can come to your own conclusion. I feel like East Carolina is a light team. I don't think they're far away in talent than us. So
Mhm.
that's going to be a good game to evaluate. And from there, you can evaluate. Do you think we have a chance to win? If so, like what's your probability? And what's your expectations? You need to calibrate that and just see. I think from what I've seen of Army, I don't think they are. I think they are still a good team. I think they are beatable,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah.
And I think that we should have a chance. So
I
I do
mean,
have expectations.
yeah, UAB, any team can beat Army. I mean, they don't surprise you with anything. It's just triple option. They're going to try to out tough their opponent. And that game is, by the way, Thursday night, September 25th at East Carolina,
At
6:30
East
on
Carolina.
6:30 ESPN. So prime time Thursday
And they're
night.
on the road, so we
Yep.
kind of get to see. But what also gives me, we talking about perspective is we played Navy in that triple option, and we were
Hmm.
right there in that game, and we played that one on the road.
Hmm.
So I kind of, and I think Navy's a better team.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I'm sorry, but I got expectations, man. We don't get the whole, oh, we trying to blah blah blah. We wasn't healthy. It's been kind of like excuses. We're coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
We're gonna be coming off a bye week. Um, we need to. It's okay to have expectations that game.
I agree. Jimmy, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
Well, now I was thinking about like I just want to make a joke. Like, watch what happens like if UAB beats Army and then beats FAU, and if we're 4-2, and like how
Ooh.
and that's not impossible. Like we don't have to go to Bama and then play, Tennessee again. Like we're talking about conference teams. So anyways, what I was going to say is there was a couple of, kind of off the field stuff that,
Mm,
I think that, I'd like to address. And we'll start with, prior to the Tennessee game, there were photos, and I don't know if I guess he got caught on broadcast,
yep.
Dilfer, with his cell phone out taking a, video or photo or whatever and sending it out. And Steve Irvine addressed, or I should say, he gave Coach Dilfer an opportunity to address it
Post
post
game.
game, which he did. And so, if for those of you that feel a certain way
Mm.
about it, definitely, also I would encourage you to listen to, Coach Dilfer's explanation about it. At the end of the day, guys, there's so many things that we should probably focus our energy on, like the cell phone thing. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody. Like when I first saw it, like I'll admit, like I saw it come through like the Patreon chat and I was like, what is this? Like, and it was just more so like, why is there some other topic other than the game going on? Like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about Army. But the more I thought about it, I really think it's just, really more about people liking to, attack someone. I can't think of the right word, but attack someone while they're down. Like Dilfer's taking a lot of criticism on the field, wins and losses. It's well deserved. But the other stuff, I don't really think is deserved. I think Coach Dilfer is a transparent person. He's been good to us, coming on the podcast and speaking with us. And, I think some people like to beat Coach down, just because of his personality or whatever. And so I think it's just an extension of that. I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I would say uh, is that if we were winning games, if we're 4-2, and Coach Dilfer takes a video of the stands before the Memphis game, and he wants to send it to somebody, is anybody
Who
going to
the
give a
hell
damn?
care? Who the
Yeah,
hell cares?
yeah. Take
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
photo, record the whole game on your phone if you want to. I don't care as long as we're winning. Like do whatever you want.
But I do think there's a lesson in that though, right? Like that's if you're winning. So I think as a coach, you do have to understand that perception is
Mm-hmm.
reality, right? And then at that particular moment in time, and I know everything comes with experience and lessons, right? But you would love for Coach Difford to think and say, I know that what this can turn into, and it did
Yeah.
turn into that because it's not just this season, man. It's all the past seasons, the past two seasons and the record. And, for some reason, it seems like I'm trying to put my finger on it. It don't seem like it seems like a lot of people don't like him, right? So if
It
you
does
already
seem
got,
that way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I know, and I really, I'm not even talking about from a football standpoint, not from a coach standpoint, but they just don't like him. And I'm like, I get the frustration if people, we are losing and you got fans and people upset and said, "Oh, you hired high school guy, da da da." But it's this other sick that's kind of like, no, hate this dude, right? Like he's so annoying. I'm like, I don't think he's been transparent, like Jimmy said, and I don't think that he's that bad of a guy. But you need to be aware of that as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be aware of it. I don't think you should dismiss it, and you should know, like, hey, this could be possibly be something. Let me chill out. But that's just how I think of it.
And the other side too, Darian, what would Neil Calloway do if you were just taking a video in Gainesville right before the game? Like
Oh, man, you put that dang cell phone up there. No, we don't do that. We don't
s-
do that.
somebody clip that. Somebody clip that.
Yeah, please.
No, I don't see that deal. That's Coach Calloway. That's my boy, man. That's my boy. I don't care what nobody say. Like Coach Calloway's still my boy. But yeah, like yeah, it would have if any play, especially during the game, like right
Yeah.
before the game. We're not talking about like coming out and walking the field or doing anything like
Mm.
that. So I just don't think you can be that dismissive of narratives because it's harmless. I really don't care. But that perception, it's kind of like, dude, you got to be aware of that. That's just my, my
Yeah.
my only take.
Yeah, I think that's a really good take. And like I would in retrospect, I would wish that he wouldn't have done so. But I think the my point is that he did so, and at this point, there's many other things to be concentrated on. Like, don't for those of you that are really upset, like, continue to be upset about the fact that we're losing. Be upset about that stuff, right? And the cell phone stuff. I think after he explained himself, which it was family related, what his goal was, which he's
Mhm.
always been very clear, how important that stuff is to him, and so he did what he did. At this point, we can kind of hopefully move on from that. The other piece is Sarad Bryant with his what was the penalty? Was it
The
Unsportsmanlike.
personal
unsportsmanlike conduct? Okay,
unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, you
yeah,
can't do that. No,
yeah.
you can't.
That right there is different. Right, that right there is an issue, and he came
Mhm.
out immediately after the game, apologized for it. From what somebody had shared in the Patreon chat, what he said on social media, and today's Wednesday, the 24th. We're aware that Sarad Bryant's not going to be available for the Army game. He's being disciplined. I think there's probably a laundry list of things that he's going to have to do internally to address his decision making. But from everything I've been told, you guys have been at the facility, you guys have been in person. But from what I've been told is that Sir Rob Bryant is a very good dude, very charismatic. He's out there. I mean, when I see him play, he has that energy. Like he's in the secondary, and you guys talked about a scrimmage that you guys had witnessed and just how vocal he was and all that stuff. So he plays with a lot of pop. He plays with a lot of energy. None of that justifies the decision that he made. I think he's been clear in that, and I think that the coaching staff is addressing it. And I think I just wanted to talk about that because you know UAB, when you just look at like general flags, penalties, like I think, speaking of kind of looking at things across the board, UAB this year is getting penalized. I was trying to look at it here. On average, is it 7 penalties a game for 53 yards? They had 5 for 40 in game one, 4 for 32 in game two, 4 for 29 in game three. If you take the Tennessee game out of it, UAB is, in my opinion, been better as it relates to discipline and penalties through games 1 through 3 this year. Tennessee was 13 penalties for 110 yards. I mean, that's way too many. I mean, way too many. So I think it's okay to be critical of the penalties, but I think I would concentrate. Like if it were me, I'd be looking at the penalties associated with this game. And I think you saw a lot more pre-snap, formation penalties. We're trying to again creative formation wise, the crowd noise, a lot of different stuff you're dealing with. So some of that
Mhm.
makes sense. But I think overall in the first 3 games, I mean, just my personal opinion, I didn't feel like there was like a crap ton of penalties every game. I thought they were cleaning up a decent bit. So yeah, we've got on this 4 game sample size, we've got 1 game in which the penalties were unacceptable in my opinion, number wise. And then this penalty isolated in and of itself was unacceptable just from a, code of conduct or whatever standpoint. So I just wanted to address that. I don't know what you guys have to say, but I feel like this would be a situation where I feel like he's the type of guy and he's the type of player that's going to do everything that's going to be asked of him. He's going to miss the Army game. That's factual. I would anticipate that he's back for the FAU game, and I hope that he is because he's a major part of that UAB defense.
Yeah, it was stupid. I think a part of this is just being accountable. Like when you
Mhm.
grow up and we all grown here, we all got kids, we got wives. Um, you do stupid stuff. That's part of life. You do stupid stuff. But I think a part of like becoming a man and just want to be an example to those around you is like learning how to take accountability and learning to take accountability. And what does that look like? When you do something stupid and you make a bad decision in life, you say, I'm sorry, I did do that. I made a conscious decision to do that. He sat there, it wasn't a mistake. He went over
Mhm.
there, it looked like it was premeditated, and bam, he stomped on that kicker's foot
Hey, bro,
very.
you ain't on ESPN Plus no more. Hey,
No, you on
they gon'
ESPN.
catch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very dumb. It was very dumb to do, and I think he understands that. So like if I was a coach or if I was if I was his homeboy, his friend, I would say, boy, that was stupid. You know that was
Mhm.
stupid. Right.
Mhm.
And then once you know somebody is like growing as a person, they'll say, you right. That was very stupid. Like I don't know why I did that. Instead of fighting back, like, oh man, that dude had been taught like I don't even care. I don't even no, 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 no. That's why I was like, hey man, he put out his statement. He's getting punished for it. I just don't like that some of the punishments that some people were asking for. Like he should be off the team.
No, no,
I I
no.
promise you, if y'all knew everything that happened during games, some of the stuff that was said, or some of the stuff that's done to you physically, y'all wouldn't want to play football. Y'all wouldn't want any of the players on the field. It's very dirty.
Mm.
Yeah,
You've
that's
gotten
just part
some
of the game.
you've gotten some cheap shots, right, Darian?
I've had something happen to me.
Yep, yep. Oh no, no,
Right.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I want to know what
Yeah.
Darian would have done if somebody would have come stepped on your quarterback's foot like that out of disrespect.
Hey,
Ooh.
let's go ahead and fight right now. Like I'll take that that suspension, But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like you in the piles, you got people grabbing at places they shouldn't be
Yep.
grabbing.
Yep.
So guys, he got caught doing it. He shouldn't have done it. We're losing. Different with the coach. People hate him. Some people just don't like him. And it's just gonna be worse. We were getting thrashed. Like I said, Joey Aguilar was like having
Mm-hmm.
his draft highlight game.
Mm.
So it was just that just comes with it. But he's gonna take his game. It's good. Y'all leave it alone. It's over, man.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken to Sarad much. I mean, but he, of all people, like you could have told me that X player within the last few years did this, and I was like, well, I wouldn't be surprised, but it was surprising to see it was Sarad Bryant. At least this year, being more vocal. Me and Darian saw him at the scrimmage. Um, s- Surprising.
He,
Yeah,
I mean, he plays with that. He plays with that energy, though. I mean, he's gotten some, personal penalties or whatever, like
Yeah.
offsetting, fouls. I think it was the Navy game. Even I don't remember if it was
Hmm.
two extra points or two kickoffs back to back, but it was like offsetting penalties. Like he got both of them. But there was a big difference. Like what he did against Tennessee was cheap.
Yeah.
The other stuff is a part of the game.
Hmm.
So, but anyways, the last thing is just we mentioned it earlier about Milner. It sounds as far as what's being reported is that Milner is going to be a part of the team, but that absence may extend beyond. It may be two, three, four. It may be we don't know how long. But we don't have as much information about that in particular. But the reason why I bring up the Milner situation is that again we talked a little bit about penalty, just looking at numbers, but like any impression that the UAB coaching staff just allows this type of behavior, I don't think is necessarily fair. I don't have enough evidence to portray that. Like y'all argue with me or y'all give me the devil's advocate version of that, but like the impression that if for any person that has the impression that UAB coaching staff doesn't discipline players, I think Corey Milner is an example that they do. And I think what we just talked about with Sir Rob Bryant is another example in which they do. And so, unfortunately, what kind of sucks is that we're in a bye week through 4 games, and we've got multiple suspensions and conduct issues. Like I don't like it. Like I don't like it, at all. I don't like the fact that we even are talking about cell phone and discipline suspensions, but I don't want to also give the impression to our listeners like these are things that a lot of people are talking about, like internally. And it's a bye week. We don't have a game to talk about, this Saturday. So I just think it was important that we kind of touch base on those things. I'm in no way justifying what Sir Rob Bryan did. I don't know what Corey Milner did, but if he's not playing, then I would probably tell you I don't justify any part of that as well. And I don't like that we are however many wins plus however many losses in the 28 games under this coaching staff. I don't like it one dang bit. I actually don't enjoy it very much at all. We have not won back-to-back games since October of 2022. UAB played MTSU and Charlotte in back-to-back games at Protective Stadium, and were victorious in those two games. And since then, we have not had the enjoyment of having back-to-back weeks of wins, and that is a pretty rare feat as you look across the FBS landscape. Like that's not just a random note. Like it's been a long time since we've won back-to-back games. We haven't won a road game under this coaching staff. So again, we don't like any of it. We want to win as many games as possible, but I still think we're early enough into the season where there still is some hope. You gotta choose to be hopeful. But again, 2-2. One little nugget. We were talking about this pre-show. Again, we played four games in 2023 and 2024. I did a comparison on the Patreon, and I was looking at 4 game sample size. You know, kind of think of it like as a preseason, if you will. In years, every year we've played a power conference team on the road. Every year we've had an FCS opponent on a Thursday night. What am I missing here? Every year we've played 2 home games and 2 away games. And in 2 of those years we played Navy. So if you're looking for like a data set that's comparable, I think that there are some comparisons enough to look at how the team is performing. And in year one, we're 1-3 after 4 games. In year two, we're 1-3 after 4 games. This year, we're 2-2. I understand that one of the games is against Akron, and that was a close call. And I understand one of the games against Alabama State, and that was too close of a call. But at the end of the day, you're 2-2. You got 8 games left. If you continue the trend of winning every other game, then you're still at the point where you can reach bowl eligibility. And that's something I know that we're all still hoping and striving for.
Yeah, man, it's my hope that we continue to get healthy. It was good to see Jermichael Rogers out on the field. Um, Hold on, wait, well, let me rewind with Corey Milliner. It has to be something like off the field kind of related. That stuff can always get tricky because it's like he may have been causing problems this whole time or something like that. I don't know anything about that situation, right? But you can start reading in between the lines when you hear coach speak. You can start just kind of looking at it, and it's like this must have been something that's been bubbling. If you ask me, being a part of like locker rooms and knowing how that go, sometimes it gets to a point, and it's like, hey man, we can't have it. So whatever happened, hopefully this can get his attention and hopefully he can come back sooner rather than later, and hopefully he can take accountability. And if you're going to and at least if you don't really care about yourself, care about what you want to do before you hit the transfer portal. Like if this gonna be your last year, you decided you still got the rest of the season, and if you're gonna let this season end like that, I don't know if I'm a coach from another team. I don't know if I'm gonna be like, man, I'm gonna give this dude. Why would I give you a scholarship if a team that needs you, they aren't even willing to play you, right? Because I think if things get already get this bad, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be on the team next year. I'm pretty sure he's going to transfer. But if you're going to do it, be smart. Say, okay, do whatever I got to do. Be quiet. I'm gonna play hard because you need to think for yourself. So this is for Corey. And this is not even for the this is I wish I could talk to him and tell him that like, dude, just play it smart, do your thing, play by the rules. It's a different game, and you need to think for yourself, and hopefully he can grow from this moment. Um,
Before you jump
th-
off, Corey, can I just say, like, it's difficult as well because, the player we're talking about is very involved in the offense. Like, you're talking about, like, touches. I mean, dating back to the Rice game, the second to last game last year, 6 catches for 90 yards in the score. Season finale, 7 catches for 126 yards in the score. And then you have the first 3 games this season in which he had a touchdown every single game. So essentially, you've got a player that's getting let's average it out. I don't have a calculator in front of me, but 6 catches a game for close to 100 yards a game at probably 15 to 17 yards a catch for a score a game. I mean, that's you're in a high volume offense, passing a lot, getting the ball, pretty heavy. And I would hope that upon like reflection, like if any of, and I'm just speculating, right? I have no idea what's going on, but I would hope that if it was on the field related, if it's like needing the ball more or whatever, I would hope there'd be like a reflection was like, hey, my situation's pretty good. Like I'm getting featured, on this team. And that might be difficult in the moment to kind of realize, but you see across college. How do you what do y'all think the stats are? We had who was one of our best receivers last year? Cam
Amari
Shanks.
Thomas.
Yeah, Amari Thomas. But what about like Cam Shanks, who we love? Cam Shanks was an incredible player for UAB, and hell, I hope he comes back. But Cam Shanks, the guy in 2024, had 62 catches for 656 yards and 6 scores, and through 4 games, I believe, at Arkansas, he's got 4 receptions for 25 yards. He's also a couple $100,000, richer, which that makes a big difference. But the grass from a production standpoint, the grass may not always be greener wherever you go. So hopefully, Corey, if it is anything about that, which I have zero idea, but if it was, I hope there's some reflection like, hey, my situation's pretty good. And if I can come back and help UAB reach its goals this year, then yeah, this offseason, hopefully I can go get paid a lot of money and find a situation where I can also be productive. And I think the coaching staff would help him pack his like in a good way. Like we love you, Corey. Like of course we will help launch you just like they did with Cam Shanks and just like they did with Amari Thomas and Lee Beebe and those other guys.
Yep.
All
But
right.
as far as like I know we was talking about like optimism and stuff going forward. I almost kind of forgot what that conversation was we was talking about the
Basically, like 4 game sample size. Looking, we're two and
Yeah.
two. You got 8 games left. Like there's things that we could, there's
uh,
stuff that's still not good. We don't have to
and
wait.
and that was my point on that was that you could this is where you can start getting critical. Like, all right, now we got those 4 games, we got the data, we got all of this, whatever you want to say. We got the bye week coming up. We can get healthier. We got everything. We got like not like minded. We got teams that are like us, talent wise, that we got coming up. And I think this is critical. Let's be real. This is year 3. We need to show something, which is shut up, put up a shut up. That's what they used to say. So. Um, here we are. And we got past the Akron game. I remember us telling us, I remember us talking about in the beginning, like, hey, man, that Akron game is important. That Akron game. Why? Because it was kind of like, it was going to just at least see if we had hope for this year. We have hope. We're 2-2. That's what we predicted, but we were saying that you can't skip over it because we assumed that what ULM and we got our brains beat in last year.
Right.
So we knew at that moment, I was like, this is hopeless. It's bad to say, but it's true. We was like, this is hopeless, dog. We got our brains
Hmm.
beat in by ULM. We should have done better that Akron game, but here we are. We're 2-2. Army hasn't looked like the Army of last year. I think we have a shot, I think we have a pretty good shot, honestly. And then FAU is FAU. So now if we don't show up those game, boys, I think we go down a dark path.
John, if UAB were to lose both of the next 2 games and they were to be 2-4, and you got 6 games left, 3 of those opponents that are remaining in those final 6 games are getting votes in the AP top 25. You've got North Texas, South Florida, and Memphis. Now,
Over.
ironically, you get all of those at home, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
But if you lose these next 2 games, bowl eligibility, the goals that we're talking about, I think are not guaranteed to not
Hmm.
happen. But can we be real for a second? Like if we're 2-4 with 6 left, and you've
Oh
got
yeah.
Memphis, North Texas, South Florida, and you still have to play on the
Mm-mm.
road at UConn, Rice,
Mm-mm.
and Tulsa, like you'd have to win
Mm-mm.
all 3 of those games, and you'd have to
Okay.
beat one of the teams. I mean, it's
So
hard.
we haven't talked about this option, guys. What if we split them?
Well, I think you have to. You have to
I
go
think you
three
have
and
to
three.
split.
Yeah, you 3 and 3, and then just get 3 of those. You know, um, but we can talk about on a later pod. Tulsa just beat Oklahoma State. Rice looks real good. Um, I mean, those
The
aren't
schedule was
guaranteed.
hard. The
Yeah,
schedule was the easy part of the schedule. Like out, not talking about Tennessee. That
no.
just is what it is. But Alabama State and Navy. I mean, shoot, Navy's hard too. The whole schedule is pretty
Yeah.
difficult when you start looking at it.
But you have to go 3-3 coming out of these next two games. You have
Question,
to.
John. John, you're the macro guy here. How is Charlotte doing? Are
Oh, they're
they
terrible. They got a
they're
good
to,
coach, the former Ohio coach. So they got a Tim Albin, I think that's his name.
but they're
They
terrible.
but they're terrible. They roster reload, like yeah, they're terrible.
So who was the new coach squad from last year? Was it who all replaced coaches last year
Tulsa,
Tulsa,
in the American?
Tulsa, Tulsa, Rice, Charlotte,
Temple.
Jimmy Temple. Well, I don't care
And
about Temple.
are they horrible temples? So it's like two teams that are horrible and two teams that are looking
Temple,
pretty good.
Temple's
Temple's
not
probably better than
terrible. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Okay. Yeah, it's just I'm just collecting data. Like
Yeah.
I'm really like looking at it like, okay, I think that's gonna mean something, honestly. I mean, I'm being real. Like
yeah.
if I'm somebody that's being real, I'm talking to Trent, I'm like, dude, it's gonna be a lot of pressure because if these teams look improved and
Mm.
they made those changes, and it's like if we go out to the Army and Army beat the hell out of us.
No, you have to be
You can't
competitive.
do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's probably the guaranteed loss for me, in my opinion. But you have to be competitive. You've got Army at home, 11 o'clock on ESPNU. Um, you got to be competitive. And you got to beat FAU at FAU.
And
So,
we haven't won a game on the road, right? So like if we gotta
mm,
what we talk like we gonna have to do something, and it's
mm,
here we go. We are already at our playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like because
shoot, yeah,
it's a revealing time here. These two games are
yeah.
super revealing. So like I said, y'all just wait. Just wait. If we're not competitive against Army, I, some of the people I talk to, I'll be like, y'all can't be mad at these fans for saying this stuff.
No, no.
Y'all,
Hey,
Yeah.
well, I would encourage UAB fans go to the Army game. Please
Yeah.
be loud. Reset during the bye week. Be loud against Army.
yeah,
Home.
pack it out. Let's give it a
Yeah,
chance.
I
You
know it's
know,
an early game, but I don't think any other. I think Auburn and Alabama are later in the day. Correct me if
Yeah.
I'm wrong,
Yes.
Jimmy.
Nope. You're right.
So get you sausage biscuit, hang out at the Blazer Talk tailgate, or go
It's
mug
not too
shots
early.
with it.
It's not too early
Hey,
for a Cahaba though, right? I
let's
mean, you can
go.
have a
Hey, you
Cahaba.
gotta have a Cahaba beer. Thankfully, the doctor said I can drink a beer on
Let's
game
go.
day. Let's
let's
go. A
go.
beer.
Go.
So making
Let's
progress
go.
here. But seriously, I'm not gonna be able to be at the game still, but please, Blazer faithful, get to the Army game. And hey, if if all goes to hell and worst comes to worst, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But you
If
can say, yeah, you made an impact during the game if UAB wins or if they compete, you know?
yeah, we
Jimmy, we at John house with it or what? What we doing?
we need to for sure. Yes.
Let's
Get
go.
some wings, Cahaba beer. Let's go, man.
I want to say
Yeah.
this. UAB must is going to have to be. I don't know if vastly improved is too strong of a word, but the way that we played, like we've seen moments where it's been good. Like really think about the first half against Navy. Like UAB is going to have
Offensively.
to be offensively, right? UAB is
Mhm.
going to have to be, in my opinion, vastly improved over the first 4 game sample size to reach its goals in the last 8. Like, I mean, that's if
100%.
and if we're not going to reach our goals. That's just period. And if we don't, I'm going to be critical about it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that's just like, but at this point, we don't know what the future holds. We can look at the first 2 seasons, and say we've seen this story before, and it may be the same story. But all that we've said in this podcast, for the most part, and what's funny is I know we've gotten some noise about like too optimistic. The other people are like, "Hey,
You
calm down."
can't please everybody.
Oh,
You
It's
can't
like,
please
we
everybody.
we all we've chosen to do is like just look at this season primarily, and we know what the goals are. The goals are still attainable. We're right where we thought we would be. We haven't seen, I haven't seen enough improvement to feel confident. If I'm betting my hard-earned money on whether we're going to reach our goals or not, that might be a Patreon show. That's a different conversation. Am I rooting like hell for us to get there?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
am I looking and I'm seeing like it is possible. It is very obtainable. Like
Mm.
let's not act like it's like something that we're talking about. It's
Out
like,
of
man, hell
reach.
no,
Yeah.
no, it's right here. So you know what I'm excited about? It's like we already at the point where we laying it all out on the line. Like we're here. And if this is the moment, this is the moment. And I hope the coaching staff, I want them to feel that. And I want them to be understanding of that. Like you said,
Yes.
we go out there and get drugged by Army. I'm gonna be
If that happens, are they going to be FAU realistically on the road?
They're not going to be
Probably
dog.
favored
not.
to, I don't think,
Probably
unless
not.
FAU just
The
gets
No.
fan,
done. Okay.
the fan base is going to be so
Mm-mm.
negative. I am going to be negative.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
telling you, because at that point, that negativity is the reality. It's not a, oh, we can spin this stat and say, oh, in the second half, if you look at this, if we want to, no, 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 we're here, and it same results happened again, and there's no spin to it. Show up, show up.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And if you don't, you get you reap what you sow, basically. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, and not we don't work for UAB marketing, but I think there's like four for $40 tickets for
Mm.
Army. UABsports.com. You can read it yourself. But on that note, watch the game with us. We're all three probably going to be watching, tweeting the East Carolina Army game tomorrow night, Thursday
Yep.
night. Scouting a little bit.
Educated
And
fan base. I love that. We're educated.
right. And then we'll be back next week to realistically preview this Army game going forward with against UAB. But with all that said, drink Kahaba, subscribe to the YouTube channel Blazer Pod, and we'll see you guys next week. Go Blazers.